Good evening, traveler, and welcome to Tale Clips. Tonight, you will set aside the weight of your day and step into a world of wonder. Here, the air is calm, the campfire is warm, and each story is woven to carry you gently into rest. Allow the sounds of this tale to surround you as challenges turn to triumphs, and quiet magic unfolds around you. Either now or after you wake, like, subscribe, and comment any suggestions that come to mind that you'd like me to include on my channel. Your feedback is highly regarded here. Now, breathe deeply, let your mind drift, and prepare to journey where imagination and dreams meet. Tonight, the story is yours. You awaken to the muted hum of the city above, a sound that has long been your morning companion. The walls of your small attic room are thin, and through the wooden beams you can hear the distant chatter of shopkeepers setting up their stalls, the creak of carriage wheels, and the soft tolling of the bell tower as dawn breaks. It is a comfort, this sound, though you do not often speak of it. In a city where every step is mapped out by destiny, where even the smallest choices are carefully noted in scrolls that bind a person's path, comfort comes in the form of familiarity. Your name is unimportant to most, you are an archivist, one of many tasked with tending the endless shelves of the grand repository. From the moment you were old enough to walk, you were guided to this role by the words etched in your destiny scroll. It said you would live quietly among the dust and parchment, handling the delicate records of countless lives. You never questioned it. Most never do. To stray from the path written for you is unthinkable. But lately, something has stirred in you. It is not rebellion, no. Rebellion is a loud thing, and you are quiet. It is more like a whisper at the edge of your thoughts, a faint wondering about what lies beyond the walls of the repository, and beyond the reach of written fates. It is a whisper you smother each night, but one that returns stronger each morning. The walk to the repository is long, but familiar. Streets wind in predictable patterns, and every face you pass is one you have seen 1,000 times before. People are polite, their movements practiced, their words rehearsed. Everyone knows where they are meant to go and what they are meant to do. The city is orderly, safe, and strangely hollow. When you reach the repository, its enormity greets you as it does every day. The building rises like a mountain of carved stone, its pillars veined with cracks from centuries of weight, its windows dark and watchful. You push through the heavy doors, and the familiar scent of parchment, ink, and candle wax washes over you. The air is always still here, as though time itself moves more slowly within. The rows of shelves stretch endlessly, disappearing into shadowed heights. Each shelf holds scrolls bound in faded ribbon, marked with symbols of the families and lineages they belong to. Every citizen of the city is recorded here, their futures inked in elegant script by the seers and scribes of the past. It is your duty to preserve them, to retrieve them when needed, and to return them to their rightful place. Today, though, feels different. There is a pull in your chest, a sense that something awaits you. You brush it aside as imagination, yet the whisper within you grows louder. You are tasked with the usual, to fetch a scroll requested by a magistrate, a document that reveals the next step of a young merchant's life. You ascend the narrow staircase that winds along the outer walls of the repository, your footsteps echoing in the silence. The higher you climb, the quieter the world becomes, until even your breath seems too loud. At last, You reach the section you seek. The scrolls here are older, they're parchment yellowed with age. You trace your fingers along the spines, reading the names inscribed in delicate ink. You find the one you are sent for, but as you lift it from the shelf, something catches your eye. There is an empty space. A scroll should be there, tucked neatly among the others. The absence is subtle, yet glaring once noticed. You frown, leaning closer. The ribbon marker is still pinned in place, the label etched in careful script. And on that label, written in the same ink you have read 1,000 times before, is your name. Your hands tremble. You whisper your name aloud, as if speaking it might make the scroll appear, but the space remains empty. The scroll of your life, your destiny, your path, it is missing. For a long moment, you cannot move. The silence presses in around you, heavy and suffocating. If anyone were to discover this, it would mean questions, dangerous questions. A missing scroll is not a trivial error, it is an impossibility. Every destiny is recorded, sealed, and preserved. To lose one is unheard of. You glance over your shoulder, half expecting a shadow to emerge from the rows behind you. But the shelves are still. The air is heavy with dust. You are alone. You clutch the scroll you were sent to fetch, but its weight feels meaningless now. The absence of your own destiny consumes your thoughts. What does it mean? Who could have taken it? And why? You return to your post, but the world feels altered, fragile, as though one thread has been pulled from a tapestry and the whole is beginning to unravel. You set the merchant's scroll aside, your duties forgotten. Your thoughts circle endlessly around that empty space, around the ribbon marker that bears your name. When evening comes, you linger in the repository long after the others have gone. The shadows stretch deep, the silence thick. You climb the stairs again, drawn back to that hollow place on the shelf. The absence feels like an open wound, raw and undeniable. It is then you notice something strange, faint footprints in the dust along the corridor of shelves. They are small, delicate, not the stride of an archivist. They lead to the empty space where your scroll should be, and then vanish, as though the figure had stepped into nothingness. You kneel, tracing the outline of the prints with your fingertips. The dust is disturbed, undeniable. Someone has been here. Someone who should not be. The whisper in your thoughts becomes a voice, firm and unyielding. Your fate is no longer bound. It has been stolen or freed. You rise slowly, your heart thundering in your chest. The city outside sleeps in the certainty of its destinies, but you now stand in the shadow of something else. Something vast, unknown, and dangerous. You should report this. That is what an archivist does. But another part of you, the part that has longed for something more, the part that has heard the whisper each morning, knows that to speak of this would be to lose it forever. No, this is yours to follow. For the first time in your life, you do not know what tomorrow holds. And though fear coils in your stomach, you also feel something else, something you can scarcely name. It feels like freedom. The night passes with little rest. You lie awake in your attic room, staring at the slanted ceiling beams as the city outside softens into silence. Sleep brushes against you, but each time your eyes drift shut, the empty space on the shelf returns, your name written in careful script, your scroll absent. You see the footprints in the dust, faint and fragile, vanishing into nothingness. You hear the whisper again, not spoken by any voice but etched into the marrow of your bones. Your fate is unbound. By the time dawn arrives, you are already dressed, your satchel slung across your shoulder. You carry no more than parchment, ink, and a lantern, tools of your trade, though today they feel like talismans against uncertainty. The bells toll softly in the morning air, their song weaving across rooftops, but they sound different now. They do not call you to duty. They call you forward, into the unknown. You walk through streets that have never felt so strange. Each person you pass moves as if on rails, their steps steady, their eyes forward, their destinies unwinding just as they are written. The baker sets his loaves on display. The seamstress opens her shutters. Children skip in rehearsed patterns, their laughter looping like the turning of a wheel. The city is alive, but it feels rehearsed, as though you are wandering through a dream staged by unseen hands. Your feet lead you back to the repository, though you know you cannot linger there as before. The magistrates will discover the missing scroll soon enough, and when they do, questions will spread like fire. If they learn that the absent scroll is yours, you will not be allowed to seek its meaning. You will be locked away until the scribes and seers decide what must be done. You slip through the heavy doors of the repository, greeted once more by the scent of parchment and candle smoke. The vast hall is dim in the early hour, lit only by a few scattered lanterns. Shadows nestle between shelves, curling around the spines of the scrolls like cats at rest. You climb the stairs quickly, your lantern casting a halo of light ahead of you, and find yourself once more before the empty space. The ribbon marker with your name stares back at you. The footprints are still there, fragile traces in the dust. You lean close, studying them in the morning light, and notice something you missed before. The last footprint does not simply vanish. It is smudged, as though the figure stepped through something soft, like the surface of water or a veil of smoke. The dust is disturbed in a circular outline, faint yet clear enough to draw the shape of a threshold. You reach out, trembling, your fingers brushing the air. At first, it feels no different than the stillness around you. But then, a subtle vibration hums against your skin, so faint you might mistake it for your own pulse. The air here is not like the rest. It is thin, delicate, alive. And then, as though answering your touch, the threshold stirs. A shimmer ripples through the air, revealing the faint outline of an arch. Its edges glow softly, carved from dust and light, forming a doorway where there should be none. Beyond it, darkness yawns, threaded with faint sparks like starlight. It is beautiful and terrifying. You step back, your lantern trembling in your grip. The city has no place for such things. Portals are not spoken of. They are not part of the fates written in scrolls. Yet here it is, opening only when your hand brushes its edge. The whisper returns, clearer this time, step through, or remain bound to nothing. Your heart beats so loudly you fear it will wake the city. You stand there for a long time, the choice looming before you. To step through is to abandon everything you have known, the safety of the written paths, the quiet certainty of your role. To remain is to live in a city that no longer feels real, to wait until the magistrates discover the truth, until your absence is corrected by force. Your hand tightens around the lantern. You step forward. The threshold swallows you whole. For a moment, you are suspended in silence, weightless, as though floating in the space between dreams. The lantern's glow clings to you, its flame stretched thin and wavering, but it is enough to see faint motes of light drifting all around you. They drift like leaves caught in invisible streams, each glowing with soft hues, gold, silver, pale blue, deep crimson. You realize they are not random. They are scrolls, fragments of destinies unbound, unraveling in the void. You reach for one. Your fingers graze it, and for an instant you see flashes of another life, someone standing at the edge of a forest, someone kneeling beside a cradle, someone holding a sword that gleams with firelight. Then it slips away, vanishing into the dark. The motes swirl around you, endless and beautiful, until at last the void releases its hold. You stumble forward onto solid ground. The lantern steadies, and its glow reveals your surroundings. You stand on a wide stone platform, cracked and moss-covered, stretching out into the shadows of an immense cavern. The ceiling soars high above, veined with glowing minerals that pulse faintly, casting the space in hues of blue and violet. Pillars rise like trees, their roots tangling into the floor. Between them, shelves emerge from the rock itself, carved not by hand but by something older, something vast. And upon those shelves rest scrolls. Thousands. Tens of thousands. More than the repository ever held. Their ribbons shimmer with colors unknown to you, and some float gently above their shelves, as if unwilling to remain bound. At the heart of the cavern rises a structure unlike anything you have seen before. It is not stone, nor wood, but something luminous, woven from strands of light. It spirals upward like a tower of glass and fire, each thread shifting with colors too subtle to name. At its base, a door waits, formed of woven radiance. You feel the whisper again, now a chorus. Welcome, Seeker. Welcome to the archive of forgotten futures. The lantern's flame flickers wildly, as though straining to comprehend what surrounds it. You hold it tighter, but your gaze is locked on the glowing tower. Every step toward it feels inevitable, like walking into the heart of a dream that has waited for you since before you were born. As you draw near, the air hums with a gentle resonance, as though the cavern itself is breathing. The door of woven light shivers, then parts, inviting you within. And so, with your destiny unbound and the city far behind you, you cross the threshold into the archive. Inside, silence reigns, not the silence of emptiness, but of expectancy. The chamber glows softly, its walls woven from the same strands of shifting light as the doorway. They twist and ripple as though alive, flowing in slow patterns that reveal faint images before dissolving again. You see glimpses of people walking different roads, faces half familiar, choices half recognized, all vanishing before you can name them. The floor beneath you gleams like polished glass, though it is warm to the touch and humming faintly, alive with some inner current. As you take your first cautious steps into the heart of the archive, the sound of your boots echoes strangely, rippling outward in concentric waves. Each ripple seems to stir the images in the walls, drawing them closer, clearer, more insistent. You reach the center of the chamber, where a single pedestal rises, a pedestal formed of braided light, its surface flat and waiting. Suspended just above it hovers a single scroll. Unlike the others you have seen, this one is darker, its ribbon a deep silver that shimmers like moonlight on water. The scroll does not rest, it spins slowly in the air, bound by no shelf, belonging to no record. The lantern trembles in your grasp, its flame bending toward the scroll as though compelled. Your own chest tightens, for even without touching it, you know it is yours. The whisper comes again, gentler now, a murmur woven from countless voices. Here lies what was taken. Here lies what was hidden. Your hand rises of its own accord. The moment your fingers brush the ribbon, light floods the chamber. The walls shiver with sudden brilliance, and the images sharpen, overwhelming you in a tide of visions. You see yourself walking paths that are not yours, kneeling at an altar with vows upon your lips, standing in armor at the head of a marching host, cradling a book that hums with magic. Dozens, hundreds of you, each splintering outward, each fading into shadow. But at the center of it all remains the scroll, steady in your hand, its ribbon cool against your palm. You unfurl it. The parchment glows, but no words greet you. The surface is blank. Blank, save for the faint shimmer of light that pulses in rhythm with your heartbeat. Confusion grips you. All scrolls carry words, intricate and precise, their calligraphy binding the path of a life. This one carries nothing but silence. The voices stir again, yours is unwritten. The words strike you deeper than any inscription could. A scroll with no record, no binding, no future predetermined. A fate severed from the weaving of the city, stolen, or perhaps spared. As you grapple with the revelation, the chamber shifts. The walls of light ripple more violently, and shapes begin to step forth from the images. Shadows emerge, tall and wavering, faceless but intent. They slip from the walls like ink poured into water, circling the chamber, surrounding the pedestal. The lantern's flame bends low, as if retreating from their presence. You clutch the scroll, its blank surface burning with cold fire in your hands. The whisper grows louder, now split between two tones, the gentle murmur that welcomed you, and a harsher undertone, like iron scraping against stone. Unwritten. Unbound. Unpermitted. The shadows move closer. They are not violent yet, but their presence presses heavily upon your chest, as if they seek to smother your breath. You realize with startling clarity that these are not guardians. They are the remnants, the echoes of futures discarded, seeking form through you. Drawn to your unwritten scroll, they hunger for a vessel. The pedestal flares in sudden light. Its strands unravel and weave themselves again, forming an arc of radiant script that hovers in the air. The script is unlike any language you've studied, yet the meaning sinks into your bones, undeniable. Choose. Claim your unwritten path, or surrender it to the shadows. Your pulse thunders in your ears. You tighten your grip on the lantern in one hand and the scroll in the other. The chamber waits. The shadows close in, faceless yet desperate. The blank parchment shivers, edges curling, as though eager for ink. Eager for your decision. The voices merge into one final whisper, what you inscribe here becomes. The chamber breathes with you, the walls of light expanding and contracting in a rhythm that matches the pounding in your chest. The shadows circle tighter, their edges blurring, dissolving into streams of black mist that lash toward the pedestal but never cross its glow. Their hunger is palpable, drawn not to you, but to what you hold, the unwritten scroll, the single thing in this cavern that defies their law of remnants. You lift the scroll higher, and its surface ripples as if it were water. For a moment, you see faint outlines emerge across the blank parchment, threads of words struggling to form, but they vanish before they can be read. The scroll is waiting. It is demanding. Your lantern sputters, its flame shrinking under the weight of the shadow's pressure. You kneel instinctively, pressing the lantern against the pedestal's woven light, and the flame steadies, catching the glow until it swells brighter. The shadows recoil. The pedestal script flares, spilling radiant symbols into the air, spiraling above you in loops of white fire. The meaning settles in your mind again, without words, clear and unavoidable. The path must be claimed. To remain unwritten is to invite devouring. The scroll vibrates in your grip. You glance down at it, the surface smooth and pale, reflecting your own face in distorted ripples. And there you glimpse it, your reflection, multiplied into countless fragments, each a different version of you. One wears the robes of a sage. Another bears armor rent with battle scars. Another lives in obscurity, a simple gardener, hand-stained with soil instead of ink. They shift, overlap, and vanish, yet each leaves behind the whisper of possibility. The shadows press closer, their forms lengthening, their edges sharp with hunger. The whisper returns, jagged this time, broken into discordant layers. Right, seeker. Bind yourself, or be consumed. You raise your free hand, trembling, and touch the scroll's surface. Your fingertips glow with pale light, leaving trails like ink where they move. Whatever you inscribe here will hold. It is not simple choice, it is creation. Yet the weight of it staggers you. What is a single life against infinity? If you choose wrong, if you inscribe blindly, will you regret the path forever? The shadows lash out, colliding against the pedestal's light. A shockwave ripples through the chamber, and you stumble, nearly losing your grip on the scroll. The echoes of discarded futures hiss and roar, their faceless forms contorting into monstrous shapes, wings, claws, and distorted mouths screaming with a hunger to exist. The lantern flares in defiance, its flame burning brighter than it ever has, steadied by your will. And in that light, you remember the truth of why you came here. Not because someone else bound you, not because the magistrates ordered it, but because your scroll was stolen, because your life was left blank. You were denied certainty. But in that denial lies the one thing no one in your city possesses: freedom. Your hand moves. The light trails across the parchment, curling into letters, weaving into shapes. The act feels both foreign and natural, like recalling a language you once knew but had forgotten. The scroll hums, its surface trembling with power as the symbols grow. The shadows recoil, screaming, writhing, their edges unraveling as the words take hold. One by one they shatter, dissipating into black dust that sinks into the floor. The chamber grows stiller, brighter, calmer, until only you remain, kneeling before the pedestal, the scroll in your hand now alive with radiant script. The whisper changes. It is no longer the desperate cry of remnants, nor the stern demand of the archive. It is softer, reverent, as though the cavern itself bows before you. It is written. The scroll seals itself with a ribbon of silver flame, then sinks into your chest as though it were always meant to be there. You gasp, clutching at your heart, but there is no pain, only warmth. The words now live within you, unshakable, unstealable. The pedestal dissolves into light. The woven strands drift apart and scatter into the cavern, fading like embers. The walls of shifting images grow faint, their glow dimming until only the minerals above shine, leaving you alone on the vast stone floor. Your lantern steadies once more, its flame calm and strong. The archive does not vanish, but it changes. The shells retreat into shadow, the thousands of forgotten futures quieting into stillness. The whispers grow distant, softer, no longer pressing upon you. For the first time since stepping into this place, you feel that it is not watching you, not testing you. It is waiting. For what, you do not yet know. But when you take your first step back toward the cavern's edge, the path opens without resistance. The cavern narrows into a passage that stretches ahead, carved not by stone tools but by the slow, patient hands of time and something older than time itself. Your lantern casts a wide circle, its flame steady now, no longer straining as it had before. The air hums with a residual energy, as if the archive remembers what you inscribed and holds it within its walls. Each step you take echoes, and the silence that follows is deep, resonant, unbroken except by your breathing. You keep one hand against the cool wall, tracing grooves etched with ancient patterns. These are not words, not like the script on your scroll, but sigils, marks that hum faintly at your touch. They ripple with the same energy that now pulses faintly in your chest, a reminder that the scroll has fused with you, that your fate is no longer on parchment but written into the marrow of your being. The tunnel opens suddenly, and you step into a new chamber. It is smaller than the archive's heart, but more intimate, more focused. A wide pool lies in its center, its surface utterly still, reflecting the cavern roof above as if it were an unbroken mirror. Yet when you approach, the reflection does not show only the chamber, it shows places you do not stand. You see a vast desert where red suns burn low on the horizon. You see a mountain peak shrouded in storm clouds. You see a ship sailing through endless skies, its sails woven from starlight. The pool does not lie, it shows possibilities. The scroll within you stirs, warming your chest, and the water ripples as though answering. One image grows clearer than the others. A city vast and unfamiliar, with towers of glass and rivers of silver threading its streets. The people there move freely, no scrolls binding their steps, no magistrates marking their lives. The sight tightens something inside you, an ache you cannot name. A longing. But the image fractures. Shadows creep at the edges, not like the remnants you faced but something broader, deeper. The city's towers shudder, their glass cracking, silver rivers turning to black. A force beyond form presses down, smothering the vision until the pool lies still again. You kneel at its edge, staring into the silence, when the whisper returns, not from the cavern, not from the shadows, but from within. It is your own voice this time, carried outward, resonant yet quiet. The path I claim will ripple. You lean closer. The pool shifts again, but now it shows not the city, nor mountains, nor deserts. It shows the streets you know, the ordered lives of your people back home. You see the magistrates standing in their chambers, scrolls unfurled, their faces calm, serene, certain. And you see yourself, your reflection, standing at the gate of the repository, scroll absent, lantern in hand. An intruder. A disruption. The water shivers violently, and the vision collapses. When the surface stills again, a figure stands reflected there. Not you. Not anyone you know. It is cloaked, faceless, yet its presence is undeniable. Its head lifts slowly, and though it is only a reflection, you feel its gaze pierce through the pool, meeting your own. Your lantern flares. The scroll inside you burns hot. The pool ripples, and the figure fades into smoke. But the silence that follows is heavier than before. You rise slowly, gripping the lantern tighter. The cavern around you feels different now, less welcoming, less silent. The archive itself seems to be shifting, its breath uneven, as though something has stirred it from a long slumber. Behind you, faint echoes resound. Not whispers this time. Footsteps. You turn, but the tunnel behind is empty, shadows stretching long and still. Yet the sound continues, steady, growing louder. Each step reverberates in your bones. The pool ripples again, though nothing touches it. And then, in the glow of your lantern, a doorway forms at the far wall, woven not of light, but of shadow, its frame jagged, its surface shifting like oil. It is not of the archive. It does not belong here. Your chest burns, the scroll within you thrumming like a warning. The footsteps draw closer. The air in the cavern grows taut, as if the very stone draws breath with you. You step back from the pool, your lantern casting wider circles, its glow straining against the unnatural doorway pulsing in the far wall. Shadows bend around its frame, folding inward like ink being pulled into a current. You have seen many things since entering the archive, sigils that breathe, whispers that echo, visions that fracture reality, but this doorway, feels different. It does not wait. It hungers. The footsteps behind you grow louder. Not hurried. Not tentative. Deliberate. A measured tread, as if whoever, or whatever, approaches already knows where you stand. The cavern silence no longer soothes, it suffocates, amplifying the sound of each approaching step until it matches the beat of your own heart. You raise your lantern. Its flame flares bright, spilling over the cavern floor, but the light does not reach far. The tunnel remains choked in shadow, thick and unyielding. You call out, though no sound escapes your lips. Your voice, your breath, your very will seem swallowed by the space around you. The scroll within your chest thrums, hot and insistent, as if demanding action. Your eyes shift back to the pool. Its surface quivers faintly, not with images this time, but with a rhythm, a pulse, mirroring the steps that draw near. The water seems to know what comes before you do. The shadow doorway flickers, edges fraying like torn cloth, and for a fleeting moment, you glimpse beyond. A corridor stretches out, lined with walls that drip and breathe. Sigils like those etched in the archive scrawl across them, but these marks twist unnaturally, their lines jagged, unfinished, as if written by an unsteady hand. At the corridor's end, the faintest glow beckons. Not golden like the archive's lanterns, but pale, sickly, a light that does not promise warmth. The footsteps stop. Silence crashes down again. You turn slowly, raising your lantern high. And there, at the tunnel's mouth, stands a figure. Cloaked, faceless, exactly as you saw reflected in the pool. Its form is more solid now, though still blurred at the edges, as though the shadows struggle to contain it. It does not move forward. It does not retreat. It only stands and watches. Your chest burns hotter. The scroll within you pulses in waves, urging you a no, compelling you or to choose. The lantern in your hand flares brighter in response, its flame stretching tall, casting sparks. The cavern walls reflect the light, illuminating the sigils etched there. You notice now that some of those marks have begun to shift, to align with each other, forming shapes that resemble pathways, branching and twisting like roads on a map. The figure tilts its head, slowly, almost curiously. The shadow doorway ripples. The pool shivers. And within the deep stillness of the archive, your own reflection stares back at you from the water, split down the center. One half holding the lantern, standing before the pool. The other already stepping through the doorway. The chamber waits, caught in a tension older than words. Your hand tightens on the lantern, its weight heavier than before. The warmth in your chest presses outward, every beat echoing, choose, choose, choose. Behind you, the cloaked figure finally moves. One step forward, slow, soundless. The pool quakes. The shadow doorway trembles. The archive itself seems to draw a breath, deep and waiting. The cavern is no longer silent. The walls groan, low and drawn out, as if something buried deep beneath the archive stirs awake. Your lantern sputters in your grip, flame swaying between brilliance and near extinction, as though even it cannot decide whether to burn bright or vanish into shadow. The warmth in your chest throbs faster, the scroll within pushing against your ribs like a heartbeat not your own. The command is relentless: decide, act, move. You stand at the center of three forces: the trembling pool, the shadow doorway, and the cloaked figure stepping forward. Each pulls at you in a different way. The pool quivers with visions, your reflection torn in two, showing you not what is, but what could be. The doorway beckons with a corridor of uncertainty, a promise of answers wrapped in menace. And the figure, faceless yet watchful, embodies everything you fear in yourself: the unchosen, the unrealized, the possibility you might leave undone. Your lantern flares, a sudden surge of light that forces the figure to halt. For an instant, its edges scatter like smoke in a storm, and you glimpse beneath the hood. Not a face, but a mirror. A smooth surface reflecting your own eyes back at you, but cold, endless, stripped of warmth. You stagger. The pool ripples violently, splashing droplets onto the cavern floor. Where the water touches, sigils ignite in pale fire, crawling outward like veins of living script. The archive responds. Its stone walls pulse faintly, breathing in time with your heart. The sigils align faster now, lines converging until they form a grand design across the cavern floor, a circle of roads, branching paths spiraling outward into infinity. Each path glows with different colors: gold, violet, silver, emerald, and the scroll within your chest burns as though longing to unfurl. The cloaked figure tilts its head again, this time not with curiosity, but impatience. It raises its arm, sleeve of shadow peeling back to reveal a hand not of flesh but ink, dripping, endless. It points, not at the doorway, not at the pool, but directly at you. Your lantern bucks in your grasp, flame leaping upward. A shock runs through you, and suddenly you see, not in the pool, not in the cavern, but in the air around you, a vision's unspooling. Paths you might have taken. Futures where you turned away from the archive, where you accepted the ordinary, where you drowned in the comfort of never choosing. You see yourself old and tired, wishing you had stepped through. You see yourself still searching, wandering forever, never daring to act. The visions vanish as quickly as they came. The archive does not offer them freely, it demands you recognize them, and then let them go. The doorway surges, edges warping, light within it deepening into a tunnel that seems to stretch both forward and backward in time. The pool erupts, waves splashing outward, soaking your boots, sending sparks of light spinning into the air. The figure takes another step, each movement slower, heavier, as though the lantern's light resists it, but still it advances. The cavern will not wait forever. You feel the scroll within you begin to tear open. Its power, locked until now, bursts against your ribs. The sensation is unbearable, like fire and gravity combined, as if you will split in two unless you release it. You know, instinctively, that this is the choice: open it here and bind yourself to the archive, or carry it beyond the doorway, where the unknown awaits. The cloaked figure lunges, its ink hand reaching. You raise the lantern, and in a single motion, you pull the scroll free from your chest. Time fractures. The pool rises in a column of water and light, enveloping the chamber. The shadow doorway shudders, its corridor twisting, collapsing, then reforming again in infinite variation. The cloaked figure freezes mid-step, its reflection mirror face cracking down the center as light from the lantern pours through it. The cavern roars as the sigils blaze, every path inscribed on the floor stretching outward into eternity. The scroll unfurls in your hands, but its parchment is not blank, it is alive. Lines of light ripple across it, writing themselves in real time, shaping not prophecy but decision. You see names, places, fragments of futures that bend as you breathe. The scroll does not tell you where to go. It shows you that you must choose, and in doing so, make the archive real. The figure shatters into a cloud of ash and mirrors, scattering into the walls. The pool crashes down into stillness. The doorway stabilizes, its dark corridor humming with restrained potential. The sigils burn so brightly you cannot see the stone beneath them. You hold the lantern in one hand, the scroll in the other. And for the first time, you feel the archive's silence not as emptiness, but as expectation. The chamber waits. Your next step will decide not only your path, but the archive's place in your life. Perhaps you will bind yourself to its corridors, become its guardian, its traveler. Perhaps you will carry its light outward, shaping the world beyond its stone walls. Or perhaps you will choose something stranger still, a future no vision could ever show. Whatever you decide, the archive will not close behind you. It is now a part of you, etched into your ribs, written into your breath. The lantern steadies. The scroll glows warm. You take your step, and the archive unfolds.